So lots been taking place in the market lately, especially with what took place with Apple due to China. Look how much influence China has. Apple in one day lost nearly 10% of their value in one day. Apple is no longer the largest company in the world. It's not even number 2 or number 3. It's officially number 4 behind Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet, aka Google. And by the way, just in the last few months, Apple's lost a few $100 billion in the last few months, equivalent of $400 billion in the last few months. Having said that, why am I talking about China and Apple? Here's why. China now is so big and powerful that influences all around the world, where Apple one day wakes up relying so much on China that they take a big hit. And many people in the world today are wondering what's going to happen with this Trump tariffs with China. How am I going to be affected by? Should I go in? Should I go out? Is Apple going to make a recovery after what they negotiate based on March 1st? All of these things in place, I decided to do a video today specifically on what you and I as entrepreneurs can learn from China. All right, so check this out. I got a lot of numbers I'm going to cover with you, and I'm going to give you 7 things we can learn from this. These 3 numbers, pay attention to them: 15.5, 8.53, 1.42. Ask me what it is in a minute when I get into it. But first, let me say the first conference that's coming up, the Vault. I told you guys when we cross 1 million subs, we are going to host the first Valuetainment conference. We are calling it the Vault because we're cracking the code in anything you need to be doing, whether you're an employee trying to become a salesperson, sales leader, business owner, CEO, entrepreneur. We're going to crack all those codes on what you need to be doing next by covering 4 things at this conference, 3-day event, May 1st to May 4th in Dallas, Texas. I'll be talking to you about what you need to do to study the most important product in the world, which is people, starting with you first. Anybody at that conference is going to leave clearly knowing exactly what they need to be doing. Number 2 thing we're going to talk about is how to scale your company during good and bad times. Everybody knows how to make money during good times, but can you learn how to make money during bad times? We'll talk about it. Number 3, a problem-solving formula that anybody can use. Yes, you can use. Whether it's in the war room, the boardroom, or the bedroom, we're going to give you that formula on how to use it. And last but not least, how to put together your own team and leadership development. Specific formulas for 3 days. There's a lot of different packages. One of them is about to be sold out, which is one of the days you'll be sitting together with me for 3 hours. That's a CEO package. Click on the link below. I think Valuetainment.com, somewhere around here. Go to Valuetainment.com to find out more information about this event coming up. And everyone gets this Vault manual. Having said that, let's get right into it. Here's a couple things to think about with China. This is 1978, 1998, 2018, increments of 20 years, where China was according to the world GDP, where they rank. By the way, in 1978, China was ranked number 10. They're not even in the top 5. They got 1 billion and 1 people in China in 78, give or take, and they're ranked number 10. You got all this manpower. How are you number 10? 20 years later, they only moved up 3 spots. They passed up Brazil, Canada, and Spain, right? And then all of a sudden, 20 years later, they are number 2 behind U.S. And by the way, you know what's crazy? Do you know what these numbers are? Let me tell you what these numbers are. Here's what it is. In 1978, U.S.'s GDP was 15.5 times bigger than China. So China decides they're David. They want to go against Goliath, which is U.S., except Goliath is 15.5 times bigger than you. Let me explain to you what this means to you. Pick a competitor you have in a marketplace that is 15.5 times bigger than you. How intimidating is that? Imagine you doing $1 million a year. They're doing $15.5 million per year. Imagine you doing $10 million per year. They're doing $155 million. You're doing $100 million a year. They're doing $1.5 billion. That's how big U.S. was to China. And then they went from 1978 to 1998. U.S. is only 8.53 times bigger than them. And today, U.S. is only 1.42 times bigger than China. So what does this really mean? What does it mean that the economy gets better? Let me give you some more data. Maybe they were paying attention to other areas. Here's what you notice. This number I'm giving you here was written on an article written by Ray Dalio, author of Principles. He wrote this article on LinkedIn. We'll put the link below for you to read it as well. Here's just one part of the article sharing this data. Population below poverty. $1.90 a day. In 1978, 88.3% of the population in China was living off of $1.90 a day. 20 years later, it's only 41%. Today, it's 1.4%. Do you know how insane that is? From 88% to 1.4%, this is the power of capitalism and entrepreneurship that can do to a nation, right? Now let's continue. Life expectancy. 66 years old in 1978, 71, today 76 years old. In 40 years of innovation and technology and advancement, the average person is officially living 10 more years in China. Now, next one here. Infant mortality, rate per 1,000 births, right? Out of 1,000, 53 were dying. Kids, infants. Then out of 1,098 went to 33. Today it's 8 out of 1,000. And last but not least, literacy. How many people could read? Out of the population, 78 was 70%. Then it went to 93. Today it went 96. So what does this mean to you, Pat? I don't really get it. Why am I looking at this stuff? I mean, I'm not trying to have any infants or, I'm not worried about life expectancy. What does this have to do with my business? Well, it has everything to do with your business. Let me explain. Population below $190. Poverty, what does this mean? If you improve certain things in your company, guess what? Your employees make more money. Your salespeople make more money. What does life expectancy mean? Retention in your company goes higher. People stick around. What does infant mortality mean? When they become a leader and they get employees in their department, they train them better so they stick around, they don't die, constantly replacing employees. And last but not least, literacy, because you've got certain things going on within your company that's educating them better. So let me get right into it. Personal experience. 4 or 5 years ago, I'm a CEO, I'm running a financial firm. I have all these agents, and I'm looking at it. I said, Pat, the book you wrote, 9 years ago, I wrote a book called The Next Perfect Storm. Don't recommend you read it because it's towards insurance. I'm specifically giving feedback for where you're at in business. I wrote this book, and I visualized what was going to take place in the insurance industry over the next 20-year period. And I fully bought it, and I focused in on exactly what was casted and what we had to do. I smelled opportunity. Very similar to what this country, China, smelled and started realizing. Maybe what U.S. is doing, maybe they're doing a couple things right that we need to study. Maybe Japan's doing a couple things right. Maybe Germany's doing a couple. How come we're not doing it? We have more people than they do. We have more people than these guys all combined. We, China. How come we're not at the top? Why aren't we competing for that? And then when they smelled it, that they could, and they said, oh my gosh, we really could compete out there if we change certain mindsets that we have. Matter of fact, when China knew that they wanted to make a statement to the world, how many times do you watch the Olympics? And what do we watch during the Olympics? Opening ceremony. My entire lifetime, the greatest opening ceremony I have ever seen was done by China in 2008. Do you remember how insane it was? Do you remember all the balls, all the stuff, how aligned? Everybody was like, how are they? So how many hours did they practice to get this thing down for this big of a show? China was trying to make a statement to the world. Hey, world, watch the Olympics. We are coming. In every aspect of our lives, we want to compete with you. Now, I don't want you to think I'm a China guy, like I'm moving to China tomorrow because, oh my gosh, Pat, now you're a China fan. I'm not telling you this. I'm a U.S. guy. I'm in America. But I also respect when competitors smell blood and they see an opportunity to go out there and say, I want to change myself and I want to do something about it. So what can you and I learn from this? 7 things. Number 1, manpower matters. However, say you want to come and fight me, and you bring in 100 men, and your 100 men are not trained to fight, and I only get to bring 10 men, and my 10 men are UFC fighters. They are all top 10 best fighters in the world. UFC, I have the top 10 UFC fighters. You're just bringing 100 men. We go fight. Who do you think is going to win? You think your 100 can beat my 100, my top 10 best UFC fighters in the world? I don't know about that. Even if you drop on the floor, you're biting their legs, you're trying to do this, you don't know how to fight and stuff. One kick in the face, 1-1-1, these guys are going to turn around. Next thing you know, they're going to get you because they have manpower, but they have trained manpower. China realized we have manpower, but we're not trained yet. What if we train and we have manpower? Imagine the possibilities. That's exactly what China did. So 1, if you don't have manpower, you got to go get manpower. If you do have manpower, you got to ask how well trained your manpower is. Number 2, you got to cast the vision. Hey, we're in real estate in local area in Chicago. We're going to compete. Hey, we're in real estate in Miami. We're doing commercial real estate. We're going to go compete with the top commercial guys here. Hey, we're doing pharmaceutical sales in, Lodi, California, in San Jose. We're going to compete. Hey, we're in the, investment business in New York. We're going to compete with some of these other guys, some of these other hedge funds. We're going to compete in this market. You got to cast the vision. Here's where we're going. Here's what we're going to be doing. They need to hear. China casted a vision to their nation. Here's where China can be one day if we X, Y, Z. You got to cast the vision. Number 3, education. What will you start educating? Look at the literacy. How are you going to be educating people in your organization? By the way, you're running a business, you got 50 employees. How are you educating them? What is your training program? What are you developing them? Who are you bringing in to develop them as leaders, as better skill set, as all that other stuff? That's education. 4, culture. Foster growth, a culture of growth, a culture of discipline, a culture of, hey, we want to do something big with our lives. I went to a event in Utah. It was an event for online educational systems, right? And all of these investors from around the world came. I was networking with CEOs of Udemy, Pluralsight, all these other guys that were there, a Codecademy, all of them that were there. And I ran into some of the guys in China, and this lady comes and starts talking to us about the projects that are taking place in China and what they want to invest in. She said, in China, a big percentage of parents' income is used for after-school programs. That's not the case in America. A big chunk is used for after-school programs. A big chunk is being used for online universities, online courses, online this. So look at them, their mindset when we're going to educate. They use the tools, technology, apps to get education to a whole different level. That's the same thing you got to do, but they foster growth. Number 5, this is an interesting one, and I'll explain it to you. In America, we're a nation of individuals. I'm going to be able to make a name for myself, and I'm going to go out there and be big. And the capitalism systems that work very well, the individual becomes a hero, Mark Cuban. The individual becomes a hero, Sam Walton. The individual becomes a hero, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. The individual becomes a hero, but collectively, tens of thousands of employees also win. Millions of employees also win because one person got credit, then group got credit. One person of a department got credit, that group got credit. A lot of times in China, they were all about the collective. It was only about we. One individual came up, no, it's about we. Stay down, it's about we. Always afraid, what if one innovator comes and becomes too big? China gave the opportunity for individuals to come up and say, no, listen, so proud of this person that stepped up. Great job for this person. That's why China is so special. So your company, great job to Mary for doing XYZ above and beyond everybody else. And she was the biggest contributor for us last month for having the biggest month we've ever had. Great job, team. Awesome job. Mary, you get the ball of the game ball. Goes to you. Individual, collective. I cannot tell you how many companies come to me and they sit down with me and they want me to be their consultant. I'll give you $100,000. Help us out with our company XYZ. And the only focus they have is collective. No wonder they're not building and fostering new leaders coming up that can help grow the company to a whole different level. China got a little bit of that. By the way, they're not fully there, but more than before. 6, making a statement. The 2008 Olympics, it was a statement. Hello, we're China. We're coming. How you like us now? You like us? You like the entertainment? This is just the beginning. Get used to it because we want that #1 spot from U.S. And last but not least, leadership development. Look, you want to grow your company in whatever industry you're in, it's going to come down to leadership development. It's going to come down to one-on-one, sitting down, building leaders. They started building leaders in different industries, and then all of a sudden they became a force to be reckoned with. Your company, wherever you're at, 2019, 2020, whatever year it is while you're watching, is evergreen. It's 2028. You're watching is 9 years from now. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're doing right now, you got to sit there and identify your next 5 leaders that can be part of your organization that you can take them up. If there are 6, but they're hungry, you can help them become an 8, foster an environment where they can be an 8 and give them one-on-one attention. If there is 7, you think they can be an 8.5, put them in an environment that can be an 8.5. If there is 6, if there are 5, but you know they want to grow, pour water on these guys like plants, on these gals. Let them develop into leaders because they're the ones that's going to take the company to the next level. You ain't going to be able to do it all by yourself. You need the right leaders. So those 7 things is what you and I can learn from what China's been doing around the world, where the entire economy is sitting there saying, oh my gosh, I hope we figured out, because now they're impacting every other business out there. So having said that, at the beginning, I told you about the Vol Conference. If you haven't registered yet, click on the link below. Go get registered. Cannot wait to meet you May 1st through May 4th in Dallas, Texas. Again, if you haven't subscribed either, click on the sub button. Take care, everybody. Love you. Bye-bye.